This morning, the big military parade that the president had asked for on Veterans Day has been canceled. In a series of tweets, the president blasted some D.C. politicians, blaming them for ballooning the cost of it. Instead, the president says he'll go to 2 other events this year and work on planning the parade for next year. So what happened, right? Let's go to Barbara Starr. She joins you from the Pentagon. It might make sense to spend money on other things, right, other than a parade, especially veterans. But, I mean, he wanted the parade. So what happened?
Well, that's right, Poppy. This was all the president's idea. The Pentagon didn't ask for this. The Pentagon did not propose a military parade for Mr. Trump. Last year, you'll remember, he was in Paris on Bastille Day. He saw the French military parade through Paris, which is quite an impressive sight. Came back and said he wanted something like that. So the military follows orders. They begin planning. And for them, they came up with a cost estimate of some $90 million to put on something that would be somewhat like that. A lot of that, actually, maybe a little less than half, would include security costs, federal security costs, the Washington, D.C. Police Department. You have to be able to cover security, not just for the parade, but any protests, any damage to city streets, that sort of thing. But how it was canceled is what's so interesting. Mr. Trump canceling it this morning. Yesterday, Defense Secretary James Mattis said the $90 million estimate was more the media's fault. Have a listen.
I'm not dignifying that number with any reply. I would discount that. And anybody who said that, I almost guarantee you one thing. They probably said, I need to stay anonymous. No kidding. Because you'll look like an idiot.
Well, he's saying that, the media who writes these kinds of things needs news sources. Let me say that it was very clear that the estimate was about $90 million. And it turns out several hours after Secretary Mattis was on that airplane in South America on a trip, that is when late last night the Pentagon came out and said that they were postponing the whole idea. Poppy?
Okay. Barbara, we're also learning this morning about a really important new report about China and what the Chinese military is preparing specifically its pilots for through this training. What are your sources saying?
This is a report that the Pentagon delivers to Congress on a fairly regular basis, looking at Chinese military capabilities, intentions, budgets, what they're spending, that sort of thing. And what they are saying now is that the Chinese are developing the weapons capability, and capability is important. No one says the Chinese are attacking us, but the capability to be able and reach out and attack U.S. targets in the region if they wanted to. This is something where they talk about that they are training their pilots for missions. They're pursuing a nuclear capability for their long-range bombers and adding additional long-range bombers. So really beefing up that capability to being able to expand their influence, expand their military capability so they can reach out hundreds, if not thousands of miles beyond their shores. It's what you typically see nations doing. The Iranians, the North Koreans, the Russians. This is what nations do. China is doing it. A lot of countries looking to have that global military power reach. It's something that worries the Pentagon a good deal. Poppy?
Absolutely. Barbara, thanks for the reporting on both of those fronts. Have a good weekend.